Welcome to US Tzu Chi 360. I'm Neil Sokant. Today we continue with the second part, our coverage about the ongoing efforts in Haiti. Recently, we witnessed the grand joyous reopening ceremony of College Marianne and Christ the King Secretarial School, after a long, amazing 16 months of construction. But aside from the educational mission Tzu Chi has in Haiti, volunteers also care about the country's chronic social crisis, one being gender-based sexual violence. Rape and violence against Haitian women and girls has been widespread in Haiti's history. According to the UN, 50% of young women living in marginalized communities have been raped or sexually assaulted. Often, many cases go unrecorded, and the statistics don't do the victims justice. Sadly, rates of sexual violence escalated after the January 2010 earthquake displaced 1.5 million people into 10 camps. Residents in the camps were 20 times more likely to report sexual assaults. However, the injustice done to these women is being addressed thanks to Malia Villar Apollon, the co-founder of Commission of Women Victims for Victims, or COFAVIV, an organization dedicated to help rape survivors. Since the 2010 earthquake, Malia and her team have visited the camps regularly. She considers every woman here as members of her family.
How are you doing, ladies? You don't have to say good. It's too hot here.
In every tent city, the COFAVIV members have spread the word that the organization is here to help the women in need, identify the ones who might have been victims of rape, domestic violence, or forced into prostitution. Malia also made a point on educating men to prevent this from happening. But for these people, still living in the camps over 3 years after the earthquake, every small event can become the pretext to show anger and desperation.
As we've been coming here since right after the earthquake, we have noticed that the people here are really vulnerable. This time, they have had a problem with an organization who said they were coming to help. The organization took the names of the families but forgot some people when some others were helped twice. That is why they are under pressure. And living here still, 3 years after, it is not the fault of these people, it is the fault of the misery they are living in.
Malia opened a center in downtown Port-au-Prince in response to the ones in need. Every day she helps women who have gone through something similar to what happened to her.
I was a victim of rape myself, so I started to fight to help women like me. I found out that we needed to create an organization to be able to really help women. That is how we started COFAVIV, an organization where victims help other victims, where we support them all the way to rebuild their lives here in Haiti. Before the earthquake, many women didn't have big houses that were really secure, but at least they had a house with a door they could lock to protect themselves. But after the earthquake, we were all in the streets, people sleeping in tent cities. The only thing they had for protection were pieces of tarps. That is how we heard about the stories of rape. Like a 17-month-old baby, his mom went out the tent just a short moment, and a 53-year-old man broke in and raped that little baby.
I was a victim. I was living under a tent in a camp close by. 3 young boys broke into my tent. They raped me and then they beat me. I arrived to the hospital, but I didn't have any money. So COFAVIV paid for the services. Afterwards, they offered me to live here and provided me with food and clothes.
The people we have here are people who were victims, who are still waiting for justice, or sometimes parents who are harassed because they brought a complaint about their child, so we help them go through the legal process.
We have about 12 beds for the victims. When they come, we welcome them. If we have clothes, we give it to them because we have a lot of young mothers coming with their children. They don't have anything because they couldn't go back to their tents at the camps to take their personal belongings. For me, it was the same. Malia is like a mother to me. She welcomed me at Kof Aviv and gave me a house to stay. Here, this is our call center. This is where we receive the calls from victims, either victims of sexual violence or domestic violence. It's open 24/7, so we can't sleep. We have to answer the phone at all times.
Every day we get between 40 and 50 phone calls. If we weren't victims ourselves, it would be hard to understand how the rape survivors feel when they call. It is hard every time, but at least we're able to help them. This call was about a 16-year-old who was raped and who got pregnant and tried to hide it for the past 2 months.
I was broken. I thought my life was over. I didn't see any future for me. We have all been through a lot already. After the earthquake, I lost my mom, my dad, everyone. I ended up in a tent and then that happened to me. It was the worst. But thanks to Kof Aviv, they supported me. They made me see a psychologist and life goes on.
After the earthquake, the prisons collapsed too. Many criminals ended up outside, which only made the situation worse. The economic situation was also bad for many. They thought they didn't have the choice or were forced into prostitution.
These girls were forced to become prostitutes. In many cases, their family died during the 2010 earthquake and they were left alone. But here, we teach them new skills for them to become self-reliant. After that, they can start working in a restaurant or be a cook for someone. With the class, at least they can do something. Today, we make onion tart and chicken tart. It makes me really happy. If I had some money, I would help them even more. Unfortunately, I don't have money, but I can still help them by doing this. And I do it with all of my heart.
I take different classes here that help me make a living, like the cooking class or flower arrangement. Because after it happened to me, I felt really lonely. I knew my aggressor, and when going back to my neighborhood, no one was talking to me. But at Kof Aviv, I found a family. They gave me a good lawyer to judge the aggressor, and even for the lawyer, I didn't have to pay 1 penny.
Everything we do it for free. After the earthquake, we were still in the camps, helping. A lot of journalists came in with big cameras and started to interview us. I talked to many people without really knowing who they were. For me, they were just doing a video. It was a long time later, I found out that CNN had chosen 54,000 people, and out of those, they nominated 10 heroes, and I was one of them.
CNN hero, Malia Vayard Apollo.
I didn't feel like I was a hero at all, no. But it gave me the strength to continue fighting for the woman. This was something that demonstrated to this country and the entire world that simple people like us with simple ideas can save our country.
While Malia and her team of admirable women at Kof Aviv continue to build movement for women's rights, which are critical to Haiti's development. During our trip, we met up with other groups that has been helping rebuild Haiti too. The United Nations Development Programme, UN Habitat, the International Labour Organization, and the UN Office of Project Services, in partnership with the Haitian government, have created the Debris Project, which uses recycled rubble to rehabilitate quake-affected communities. The project also employs Haitians and gives them the opportunity to take part in their country's reconstruction effort. According to the UN, the January 2010 earthquake decimated over half of Haiti's infrastructure and created 10 million cubic meters of rubble. 3 years later, 80% of the rubble has been removed from the streets and about 20% of the debris has been recycled.
There was a big seminary here to train the priests. Everything collapsed during the earthquake, and we had to move 10,000 cubic meters of rubble. We thought about the population of the area and decided that it was too big to remove, but we figured that maybe we could recycle the debris, so we decided that we would produce pavers with the rubble.
Bonjour, ça va bien? This project has been prepared by the government of Haiti, and the role of the International Labour Organization in this project is mainly to qualify the worker to be part of the reconstruction of Haiti. Donc ça, c'est nouvellement installé. Les clôtures n'étaient pas là quand je suis passée la semaine dernière. Tout est beau là maintenant.
All the workers we have here come from this community. The process to hire them was simple. We distributed application forms to the community leaders. They first pre-select individuals within the community. And here, at this site, we have the second selection, and then they start the training in our different workshops on recycling rubbles, producing pavers, or laying pavers.
C'est pas ça que vous choisissez qui est trié qui bon. Est-ce que vous pile ba qui pas bon? It's a chain. The idea is that we collect the debris, we select it, we crush it, converting it into usable sand. With that sand, we produce pavers, and these pavers go back to the devastated areas for rehabilitation, to fix the devastated communities. And all along the chain, we train the locals.
I didn't know anything about this kind of work. I came here for the first time and they taught me how to make the pavers. With this project, for the first time, I see some possible development for my career. It opens up opportunities for me to know new skills.
I learned a lot of things with this project that can help me not only today, but for every day of my life. Now, I know that I can do something. I can produce pavers.
We created small little workshops. Instead of making one big center where we have this big crusher come in and we've got these big machines and we just broke it down into small little workshops that can be managed by 1 or 2 people and that can be run by 6 people. So we find that the production for 6 people with one of these workshops can largely supplement their needs and surpass the minimum wage.
The more we produce, the more we make. That is why my team and I work so hard that we are able to produce more pavers than any other teams. To this day, we are still first. No other team has done better than us. That is why a lot of people wanted to be in my team and elected me to be entrepreneur or the leader. Before, there were no jobs. People were getting sick. But now, with work, we are in good health and we have the desire to live.
We're training them in proper methods of working. We're training them also in the rights of women because we try to have as much as possible equal amount of women than men. At this point, we've reached 30% women, which is already a very good rate.
Ouais, moi t'es la caille moi et puis
I live up the street, so I just came here. I registered, started to follow the training classes to operate the machines, because I had no idea how to operate machines before. I always say, it's not a question of men or women. We have to stop thinking, oh, this was done by a man, this was done by a woman. We have to combine our efforts and skills together. I'm really proud. This project is my pride.
C'est une fierté pour moi. C'est expérience, compréhension, volonté.
It's about experience, comprehension, and passion. You need to be willing to learn. Me, I came in February, and in one day I was told how to make pavers, how to mix sand and cement, how to operate the machine. I didn't know anything about making pavers, but because I wanted to learn, in one day I learned it. It's not only about this project, because when this project ends, we know that they will keep working with us. We will be able to rent the machines from them and to start our own businesses with it, to be able to continue working. Because this work is good, it's meaningful. With the pavers, we don't walk on the mud anymore. I'm able to make a living. My neighborhood is becoming beautiful, and my economic situation is better now. Usually, if you want to learn how to make pavers, you need a lot of money. But thank God, they did it for free.
Haitians live a lot on hope. They even have a saying where they say, Demain si Dieu veut, which means tomorrow, God willing. You give them hope, and then for them sometimes, they want to hold on to that as much as they can. That's what keeps them going. And you're going to see a lot of people smiling. They're always smiling. With very little, they're able to do a lot. And a project like this is testament of that, because this is a very small project, and all we're doing is paving. Okay, so right now we're in the neighborhoods that are being rehabilitated with the recycled debris, which has been transformed into pavers. So now, excuse me, bonjour. This is your typical walkway, as you can see. Children must walk this to go to school, to go home. It's quite a hike, and it can be pretty dangerous. I guess it speaks for itself. C'est l'école où sorti? Vous avez monté la caillou? C'est vous ça fait tous les jours le monter la caillou? Okay. Yeah, this is an area we're working on right now. We're finishing up. A lot of this cutting was done by the locals themselves. They just went ahead and started working. So they participate without even asking. They help this project move along. When you're coming into the project, there's a lot of hope. When you're working, there's a lot of participation. When they see that you're about to leave an area, and whether you've been able to attend to their needs or not, that anticipation and that excitement changes into frustration, because you cannot solve everything for everyone. The needs are so immense that once you make your way through, you do as much as you can. And you have to be listening to all these people, making sure you don't give them any false hopes. Let them know that if it can be done, it will be done.
We see a really good improvement, because before this project, it was either really dusty during a drought or muddy when it rained. But since this project started last year, it helps the people to go back to their own homes, because the pavement goes up to people's houses. This neighborhood was really affected, and it was tough. The infrastructure is still very unstable. That is why we welcome this kind of project with open arms, and we hope to see more of these projects here.
Oh, I really congratulate the workers, because it's easier to access our neighborhood. I want to encourage them to do even more in this neighborhood, to keep doing these reconstruction efforts. You know, before, every single time it started to rain, the street became a river of mud. I wanted to go to church, but my feet were covered with mud all the time. Now I'd be able to go to church and to stay clean. That is why I say, congratulations for the work that has been done.
Getting it done is the most difficult thing because although we have seen great ideas being presented, we haven't seen them being implemented. And there's always a problem of implementation when it comes to actually making things happen. And it might be a very simple thing, but actually making it happen is very difficult.
Bonjour à tous. Alors nous réunissons une fois encore et pour nous faire notre séance de sensibilisation sur un sujet qui est très important pour le travail que nous faisons. Tout ça nous sommes capables d'appliquer dans le travail de réhabilitation que nous faisons dans le quartier. On a essayé pour un maximum pour écouter et appliquer pour nous capables.
Thanks, Eddie. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? So, we are going to have a little class on universal accessibility. After the earthquake, we had to start thinking about the rights for people with disabilities and to do the reconstruction of Haiti, taking in consideration for handicapped people.
Pour que reconstruction dans le pays haïtien et pour tenir compte des questions droits moun handicapés.
I came to Haiti right after January 12, 2010. In the earthquake, not only the infrastructure, the roads and buildings were damaged, but a lot of people became handicapped after the quake.
En Haïti, mais qui a aussi été un facteur de production du handicap.
So rehabilitating the neighborhoods in Haiti is a really difficult goal because those neighborhoods weren't built after the earthquake. They were here before and they had been built unrestricted, without norms or respecting any construction rules. And that is why today this environment is not designed for universal accessibility. Okay, so the scenario is simple. Imagine we have a meeting in the building up there and you need to be there in 5 minutes. We have a rugged topography, not a lot of space. The corridors are really narrow, like we can see here. It is easy to understand that someone in a wheelchair in that environment won't be able to move. So, you see that we face a lot of problems, lots of obstacles, and the reason for that is because people who built the structures. So now, I have a question for you. Is that step right here really necessary?
Le résultat est quand même bien plus que satisfaisant et je dirais même
The result of the project is more than satisfying and beyond what we have originally imagined. Through the rehabilitation of the neighborhood, especially paving these corridors, you see the results here. So just by doing this in these neighborhoods, we are able to create space again.
on recrée de l'espace.
If we succeed in giving them the tools to create their own enterprises, they might be able to create new businesses that we haven't even thought about. That's why I'm confident in the future of our country. I know it'll go well.
Once we leave, they can continue on their own.
This project will help us have another memory from the January 12th earthquake. Our children and the children of our children will remember that after January 12, 2010, we were able to rebuild Haiti with the rubbles, and what we are stepping on are the pavers of hope.
There's been one common goal we've seen in all the remarkable individuals we've met, and that is to empower the Haitian people by giving them the right tools to rebuild a sustainable Haiti. Tzu Chi too shares the same mission in Haiti's long road to recovery. So stay with us as we will continue to bring updates in the near future, with one being the completion of another school Tzu Chi is rebuilding, the kindergarten Carmen du Rocher. I'm Niels Ocante. See you soon.